gas as a pressurant in the fuel and LOX tanks. As the Merlin engine pumps pull RP1 and LOX out of the tanks, we fill the empty volume, known as the ullage, with helium headed by the engine. Heating the helium helps expand it to fill the tanks. To make sure engine startup goes well, we also perform what we call engine chill, and this will happen at T-7 minutes. And this is where we flow a small amount of super chilled liquid oxygen into the Merlin engine turbo pumps. And we do this to avoid a thermal shock to the system when the full flow of super chilled liquid oxygen hits the prop system. Now the vehicle is looking healthy, and we are currently working no issues. The range is green for launch, and weather is also looking really good, 90% favorable for launch this morning. All systems continue to be go for liftoff at 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity on Friday at 2:51 a.m. Eastern Time.
If you live in a major city like we do here in Los Angeles, chances are you have easy access to great internet and never really have to think about it. However, roughly half of the world's population, or 3.6 billion people, do not have access to internet. And at a time where more people are working from home and more students are participating in virtual learning, internet connectivity across the globe is more important than ever. To that end, the Starlink team is excited to expand our beta service internationally, adding 2 brand new countries and expanding into a third. Starlink Beta is now available for the first time in Germany. This week, we rolled out service into parts of Western Germany and will continue to expand in the coming weeks. The photo you're seeing here on the screen is the first installation in Germany. You can barely make out the Starlink on the rooftop there. It's pretty exciting to see Starlink hardware in Deutschland, and we're looking forward to seeing more pictures like this in the future. The team is also rolling out first-time service in New Zealand. Service will initially be focused in the South Island, but will continue to expand rapidly this year. And last but not least, the Starlink team expanded our existing coverage in the UK to include Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, North England, in addition to the existing coverage in the South. The image you're looking at here is from one of our first users in South Hams, Devon in the UK. They report up to 200 megabits per second at times, which is pretty exciting. During Starlink Beta, users can expect download speeds between 50 and 150 megabits per second, along with brief periods of no connectivity at all. As we launch more satellites, install more ground stations, and improve our networking software, data speed, latency, and uptime will improve dramatically. To learn more about Starlink, or to find out if service is available in your area, head on over to starlink.com.
We're currently at T-5 minutes and 5 seconds, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. We're currently waiting for the transporter erector, the TE, to retract, and that's that white painted structure right behind the vehicle. What you're seeing on your screen is right behind that fairing payload. First, the TE clamps will start to open, and then the transporter erector will begin to retract away from the rocket slightly. And at T0, hydraulics will pull the TE further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. Now, the TE provides liquids, gases, electrical connections to the second stage, as well as air conditioning to the payload fairing. And what we'll see first is those clamps open up slowly. And once those clamps finish opening up, the TE will start to retract back.
Drop back, retract in progress.
And you heard that call out and can see the clamps moving. Looks like the clamps have completed opening, so that TE should start retracting back very slowly. And it's very, very slight, but you can see the TE just slightly leaning back away from Falcon 9. The first and second stages are both nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Super chilled liquid oxygen is our propellant oxidizer, and that's what's creating those white clouds that you're seeing on your screen around Falcon 9. And that's because the warm, humid ambient air causes the liquid oxygen to turn into gas. First stage should finish prop loading at T-minus 3 minutes and a few seconds here, and second stage will finish at T-minus 2 minutes. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will be in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown.
Stage 1, LOX load closed out.
And there's that call out for first stage LOX load complete. Just inside T-minus 2 seconds, we light the Merlin 1D engines. We use T-Tub as our ignition fluid. And when it mixes with oxygen, it burns a green colored flame. We then allow the fuel into the thrust chamber, and the engine comes up to full power for liftoff at T0. Now the Starlink payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is still looking good for T0, and the range has cleared the surrounding ground, water, and airspace, and are green for launch. LOX loading should
Stage
be...
2, LOX load closed out.
There it is. Stage 2 LOX load is now complete. So now that LOX loading is complete, we will start to clear out the LOX line on the transporter erector. So you should see some venting here in a few seconds. And there you can see on your screen, as I mentioned, those white clouds is from the vent. That's from the venting from the LOX. Now in just 20 seconds or so, Falcon 9 will go into startup, and stage 1 and stage 2 will begin to pressurize for launch.
Falcon 9's in startup.
There's that startup call out. Coming up is the final go from the launch director.
Stage 2 is pressing for flight.
Falcon 9 Starlink LDs go for launch.
And there is that call out that we are go for launch. So all systems are
30 seconds.
All systems are go for launch. Let's listen into the terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 takes our stack of Starlink satellites into space.
Stage 1,
T-minus
pressing for
15
flight.
seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
Stage 1 propulsion on.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
T plus 40 seconds into flight, and Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying our stack of Starlink satellites to orbit. We're now throttling down our engines in preparation for max Q, which is maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees on ascent. We've got an
Supersonic.
awesome view of first stage of Falcon 9 there on your screen.
Max Q.
There's that call out that we've passed through max Q. Now in about a minute, we'll have 3 events happening within seconds of each other. The first will be main engine cutoff, or what we call MECO, followed by stage separation and SES1, or second engine start 1. Now MECO is where we shut down all 9 of the M1D engines on the first stage to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation. And stage separation is where the first stage separates from the second stage.
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
Good call outs there. First stage will then make its way back to Earth and attempt to land on our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, while stage 2 continues its journey with the third event being second engine start 1. And that's where we light up that MVAC engine and it will propel the second stage with our Starlink satellites to orbit. And we're just about 10 seconds or so away from those three events. That is MECO, stage separation, and SES-1.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And there we just had MECO and stage separation. On your right-hand screen, you're looking at that MVAC engine on the second stage, confirming SES-1.
Propulsion nominal.
And a good call out that stage 2
Both
is
vehicles
nominal.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Both vehicles are nominal.
Separation confirmed.
And there you can see on your screen the fairing halves have been deployed. They're now making their way back to Earth. And as a reminder, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery ships Go Searcher and Go Navigator.
All right, as stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the Merlin 1D engines will reignite, and this helps slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is the landing burn, and this is a single engine burn that brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. We're about T plus 4 minutes into flight, and if you're just catching up with us, we had a successful launch of Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral, Space Launch Complex 40. If you're looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 Stage 2 as it delivers our Starlink payload to orbit. Stage 1 is cruising back to our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, in the Atlantic Ocean. And we'll continue to watch stage 2 here on a nominal ascent for a few minutes. As a reminder, the Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level, and these achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and descent. The MVAC engine is optimized for vacuum and achieves about 220,500 pounds of thrust on the single engine. The Starlink constellation is in low Earth orbit, or LEO, at around 550 kilometers. Now, most geostationary satellites are at 1,000 kilometers altitude, and these are the general satellites that we see in most other systems. When the satellites are farther from Earth, the round-trip data time between the user and the satellite, also known as latency, is much higher, resulting in poorer performance for activities like video calls and gaming. We're about 30 seconds out here from entry burn. As a reminder, Falcon 9 is equipped with 4 hypersonic grid fins positioned near the top of the first stage on stage 1, using nothing but, that guide it back during its re-entry to the ground.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there we go, we have entry burn start.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
Beautiful, and entry burn cut off. Stage 1 is going to continue its descent to our drone ship. Just read the instructions. As stage 1 continues to descend, it uses occasional bursts of nitrogen gas for attitude control, and sometimes you can see this, although in the darkness tonight we may not be able to. To land, the Falcon 9 first stage is also equipped with 4 landing legs made of state-of-the-art carbon fiber and aluminum honeycomb. These are placed symmetrically around the base of the rocket and deployed just prior to landing. After first stage landing, stage 2 has a coast phase, then a short burn, and then another coast phase before deploying the satellites. We are about 30 seconds out from landing burn.
Stage 1 landing burn.
10 seconds out. We may see a video cut out here.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
All right, and there you can see we've landed first stage on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. This marks our 76th recovery of an orbital class rocket and the 6th recovery for this particular booster.
Seco.
And we've had second engine cut off 1.
Lost the signal stage 2 from the Cape as expected.
And we confirmed good orbit. All right, now stage 2 is going to coast for this orbit in the next 35 minutes or so. While that happens, take a look at this animation showcasing where we are in the coast phase. We'll see you back here in about T plus 45 minutes for a second stage relight.
Also signal Bermuda expected.